What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Katarina banner. That brings the newest Katarina that is a multi-purpose character that can give you heals, buffs, attack, defense boost, everything at once. Then Khalid, a slash and lightning damage dealer that can increase the damage potential of your squad for set elements. Mikhail, a farmer for both Pierce and Sun, AoE and single target. Monika, a BP battery in a reverse way where she can decrease the BP cost of your skills while also applying defense boosts and very small healings. Now let's go straight out to our rs.xyz website and we'll start talking about Katarina. She gives a name to the banner and is the best character of the bunch. We have 125% STR, that's a very high number for a character that's actually more support and damage. We have 75 endurance. Katarina is a little fragile versus physical attacks, but she has 91% will, that should be a safe value for most of the time. She still has 105% agility, that's a very good value, and sometimes you can use her on the back row of a Rising Phoenix EX formation, and she will sometimes still attack before the enemy, and that is important because she is a buffer for defense boost. She still has 95% dexterity because she can inherit S's word skills from her past style, and there is one that is actually very nice. She has 80% intelligence, I don't know why she has that much. She does have inheritance that can debuff, but I don't think that's needed. So moving on, she starts the fight with 12 BP, and then she grants all surviving alliances attack boosts that increase damage potential by 15% for that turn only. Then she grants all surviving allies a heat up, that increases damage potential by 10% for the whole fight, and that triggers 5 times per battle, so she will give you 50% at most from turn 5 and beyond. Alongside that attack boost, you have more. And then she gives another 15% because of her second passive, and she decreases damage taken for all allies by 25% at all times. So, all in all, on turn 5 and beyond, she will increase your potential damage by 80%. Not just that, besides that reduce in damage for everyone, she has 30% to herself. She increases her damage potential by another 30. When she lands an attack, she also grants herself this heat up, and since she has a chase attack, she will trigger all of these effects by turn 3, so she gets another 50% increase in damage. If you consider everything stacked, she has 130% damage potential. Not just that, she actually has more than that because we have 2 different passives that she applies to everyone, including herself, on the start of a turn. First one called Weak Defense. When you land a weak attack, that means that you attack at an enemy that has a minus 35 to a certain element and you use that element, you can trigger 2 times this effect. A defense boost medium that will decrease damage taken by either 20 or 25%, I'm not so sure, the value in global. Lasts for 2 turns and of course it stacks. And you will also be buffing your endurance and will by 20% and recovering your HP by a very small effect. Well, this is even better if your character has a chase attack, so that you can trigger 2 times. If you are using Katarina with other characters like Liz that only buffs, well, you will not see all the effects. But Katarina has a chase attack, she will be seeing this all the time. And you also have the Resist Offense passive that when you are hit by the enemy, and that hit causes a resist, that means that you had 35 points of resistance to that element. She can activate 2 times the following effects. She'll grant oneself this attack boost that increases damage potential by 20% for 2 turns can stack, and will also buff STR, dexterity, and intelligence by 20% and recover 1 BP. Now, you have to attack well to get defenses, and you have to resist well to get offenses. It's the reverse method, but it actually works pretty well. And she has a little bit of everything. Healings, attack, defense boost, status buffs, and even BP generation. It is much easier to trigger the resist offense because you can choose well your equipment, and that will allow you to resist most of the time unless an enemy has like 6 types of elemental attacks. So you can probably guarantee all of these effects to happen in 95% of the situations, while we will not be triggering the weak defense all the time, because sometimes you use a character that is just good, but it does not hit the enemy weakness, like we were using Kaiser many times, or you bring someone like Liz that doesn't even attack the enemy. So focus more on the resist offense, even though the weak defense is also just as great, but it will not be triggering in all scenarios. Now, besides all of that, If you consider that she has 20% with each stack of attack boost, and you can resist well, you can get at least 40% damage increase with your character when you are resisting as extra. I just said that she gives 80% damage increase to everyone. When you consider that she has at least another 40, you have 120% damage increase to your party. And you can also stack more, but that is only if the enemy attacks before you, so this doesn't happen all the time. Status buffs are also very nice because they will also increase your damage output no matter what, and the extra BP will be helping with fights where the enemies increase your BP cost, or if you have characters with high BP cost. Anyway, now when she attacks, she also has Moulin Rouge Plus as a chase. That is a slash and pierce attack, and it has double S power, very close to triple S, and that's very nice. The character that already has way too much stuff, she still has a chase attack that is guaranteed. Amazing, because she can do some good damage. She's only lacking a very strong attack as a command. She will do more damage via her chase than anything else. Now, Katarina herself, when you consider that you have all passives working and you still get the at least 40% attack boost, she has 200% damage increase. Really, really incredible. Moving on, skill number 1 is called Guardian Ice Slash, and this is much like the 1 BP skill from Empress. This one is free on her version. It's slashing cold damage with E power, much like a normal attack with double element, but casts a guard up small that decreases damage taken by 12% for that turn only. But it's free, you can use it. The second one is called Dazzling Blades. It's a single target attack with slash and pierce damage and attacks random enemies 3 times. Every time that you attack, you will recover HP by very small effect. So she will be healing for around 750 or more with those 3 hits. So that skill could be useful in emergency situations, but well, you will actually want to use the third skill at all times, because Fury and Short is a single target attack slashing code. It's E power instead of D, cost 10 BP, and you can attack between 2 to 3 times. And then it will grant all surviving allies this defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 2 turns, can stack. So it's either 2 stacks of 15 or 3 stacks of 15. So combining that with the defense boost that you may acquire by using her passive, if you are attacking the weak spot of the enemy, you can actually get so much defenses boosts that damage won't be much of a problem, especially if you combine her with other characters that can give you more defense boosts, guard up, other ways to survive. And you have to remember that if you are also landing this weak attack, you are recovering HP already. So she's also somewhat of a healer, but like I said, it not work for every character, since some of your characters will not attack or they just won't land a weak attack. Now, when you consider that you have this cycle of using skill 3 and then skill 1 and probably back to skill 3, she already works by design, but she already gives you 2 extra BP if the enemy attacks you 2 times per turn. In most of the fights, you get attacked at least 2 times in a fight. So, most of the time, those extra 2 BP are a guarantee. She doesn't have any other way to get BP, as you can see. She gets just 5. So, she works super well with other characters like, for example, Hardy. Hardy can also decrease damage taken from indirect attacks, can generate a lot of BP. There are also other characters like Candy, or enemies that uses a skill that will allow you to get lots of BP via the use of Friend's Balloon Big March. Or you can still use the same old Shirei to give her even more BP. Sometimes she will be able to use her skill number 3 2 times in a row, and that will apply so much defense boosts. With the other character being the latest ScherBR, she has a very interesting skill that is Psychic Hunt, that gives you up to 3 BP when you are attacked by a spell, and up to 6 BP if you get it also as a chase. So it feels like even though she generates BP, she wants you to use other BP batteries, because that will give her even more, so that she can try to use Fury and Short every single turn. But there is yet another way to use this Katarina, and it's via an inheritance from her Sword style. Her Sword style has this skill called Ice Fox for Ballet. That gives you a defensive stance versus skill damage. That decreases skill damage by 35%. You cannot have multiple stances of this, but it does stack with something like Wired Up, with all of the other defense boosts, and this lasts for 3 turns. And while your skill number 3 only lasts for 2 turns. As you can see, if the enemy is more focused on skills, if at least 70% of the attacks are skill based, it may be interesting to use that skill. And it's an AoE attack instead of a single target one. It still has this Ice Impact attack that is also piercing cold. It's between 1 to 2 times and will be healing, but I don't think that is really needed unless you are on a remembrance fight and you need the extra healing. Something that you need to understand is that you can trigger the extra effects via the weak attack, and most of her skills are at least slash, as you can see here. The inheritance we have pierce and cold. So sometimes you may want to prefer to use different skills based on the enemy weakness to get those effects running on Katarina herself, but that would depend on squad composition and everything else. Katarina has no real competitor, really. She is a new meta that enters the game, just like Joe entered when she got released, and she was a very big player because of her Flame Force, decreasing damage taken with each new attack the enemy performed. And I believe that Kaiser was also a great sign of power creep, the support, because he gave us Glory Force, and he also allowed us to have defense boosts and very small healings. And the other sign of power creep was Matriarch, in to some lower extent Rock Bouquet as Sword style, because they can give you passives when you are attacking, and they can also either buff or debuff with their active skills. So the next step in the power creep is Katarina, because she can perform a little bit of all of these other units via everything little by little. Attack boost, defense boost, status buffs, healing, and lots of damage increase. Katarina is a must-have, a 5 out of 5, a character that will be very useful from the time being, and even when she gets power creeped by a future version of Gustave, you still want to use her on hard challenges and remembrance fights. They also don't really clash, as you can use them together if you feel like you want. Her longevity will be of at least 6 months moving into the future. If you don't have gens for Katarina, but you still have at least many defense boosters like Liz, Gerard, or people like Darius, you can still keep running the game for now and wait for Gustav to replace Katarina, but you will probably feel like you are missing a very important player. If you don't like the character and you want to wait, well, the game is giving us many free gens, so you can wait till the last day to decide if you want to pull for Katarina, but she is really the most impactful and better unit of the banner. The next character is Khalid, and he is a damage dealer. We have here 123% STR, that's even lower than Katarina, but it's a pretty big value, and he does have very good sustain with 92% endurance and 92% will. His agility is very high with 112%. He is a lightning damage dealer and also a party leader for damage dealers as well. Now, moving on, he has a 30% damage increase at all time, another 30% increase in damage at all time, reduces damage taken by 30%, starts the fight with 13 BP. So he also always chains with Demilune Echo. That skill is an S power attack with Slash and Lightning, pretty close to double S power, but still not as strong as many other chases we have. But then he has a 50% chance to chase with another attack called Storm Lightning Flash. Storm Lightning Flash is a 3-hit attack that hits random enemies with deep power. Slash and Lightning again. Now, from the second passive, when you land an attack, you will recover 1 BP. So you have at least 5 because you always chase, sometimes 6 because you can double chase. Then you also get this defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 2 turns. So it will also stack. You can get at least 2 stacks or 3 stacks if you double chase. They last for 2 turns. That means that on the second turn and beyond, Khalid may have 4, 5, or 6 stacks, reducing damage taken by quite a lot. And he also has this other effect called Lightning Sequence. But this one is not a guarantee. You have 50% chance to trigger this when you are attacking, and it will trigger differently by each of your attacks. The normal attack that you use it, the command, then the chase, and then the possible chase. So up to 3 chances. You have 50% chance to trigger this when attacking, and it will give you the lightning sequence. That when you are attacking with lightning attacks, well, Khalid always uses lightning attacks, you grant all surviving allies attack boost that increases damage potential by 5% for 2 turns, max times of 3 triggers. So let's say that you attack it 3 times and you hit the lottery and you got 9 lightning sequences. That means that you can give up to 45% damage increase to everyone because of this passive alone. And since the attack boost lasts for 2 turns and Khalid is pretty fast, theoretically you can get as much as 90% damage increased for everyone you hit the lottery. But that's likely to happen. It's only 50% chance to trigger, and you still rely on the extra chase to have all of that. Then for skills we have Thunderblade Plus, that's a single target attack with slash and lightning, has 1 BP cost only, D power, and when the attack lands it grants the target slash and lightning defense down, decreasing the elemental defense by 15%, lasts for 2 turns and can also stack. The good thing is that because you have very high agility, you can use this skill, your chase attack will do more damage, the chance to chase will do more damage as well, and all the other characters in the party will do more damage if they use slash, lightning, or bolt. The second one is called Demilun Chain. It's an attack that has slash and lightning, double S power, 9 BP cost, and before attacking grants all surviving allies lightning sequence for 3 times, no turn limit. But look, that's the same lightning sequence that you have as a passive, but here it's just a 50% chance to trigger, while here we have a guarantee of 3 times, meaning that as soon as he uses the Demilun Chain, he will also trigger at least 2 stacks of the attack boost, but it's just 5% plus 5%, meaning that you have 10% damage increase to everyone, including Khalid, when using this. So it is good with Khalid, but if anyone else has lightning attacks, they can also benefit and improve the damage of everyone. Sadly, it only lasts for 2 turns. I wish this will last for more. But then we have skill number 3, Thunderbolt Slash. It's slash and lightning and grants the target this weak point lightning defense down. That's Thunder effect. It will grant a passive on the enemy where after you use this skill, every new lightning attack will decrease the defense of the set enemy by 25%. It lasts for 2 turns, it can stack much like Sundered, and the thing is, you need other light damage dealers to take benefit. Of course, Khalid himself with his chase will already do more damage, but it makes more sense when used together with other characters. And who we have with lightning damage? We have Merlot Siren. The latest one has lightning damage, so they will work super well together. Besides, there's also Creator. Creator is still a okay damage dealer with use of Urge, and on Overdrive you attack multiple times as well. And the most interesting one will be Kihachi. At some point she will get a new style where she has an 8 BP skill that is slash and lightning. She already has lightning dual slash, she has dual lightning blade as well, but her main nuke is slash and cold. So although they work well together, it's not the time yet. Any other lightning damage dealer will also work well with Khalid, but it's still very restricted. He allows your party to do more damage, but even then, we have lots of competition for slash. Khalid is now a much better lightning damage dealer as someone that makes sense than just slash, since you can still nuke with Kihachi if you have her. Well, Khalid has some interesting inheritance, with the best one coming from his Valentine style. There is this skill called Tempest Moon that cannot be amplified, and it is a triple S attack with just slash, and after attacking he enters an evasive counter stance. Since this Khalid gets defense boost, he also gets BP and can also get even more of this lightning sequence, so he can actually become a very strong damage dealer via counter, and his counter is Demilun Echo that has triple S power. So for 9 BP he gets at least 5 and probably much more. He actually becomes one of the best counter specialists in the game that can survive well and still do lots of damage. You can also inherit from his Platinum style, the skill called Lunar Slash, that has C power enters defensive counter stance and counters with C power again. At least it's slash and lightning, but it's much inferior to that Tempest Moon from the Valentine style. And if you have access to his first limited style, there is a skill called the Demilune Burst Plus that opens with AoE B power attack and then changes with Demilune Echo. So you have now 2 attacks, meaning that you get at least 1 extra BP, 1 extra defense boost, and 1 extra chance to get the lightning sequence as well. I believe that that skill is usually better than even using Demilune Chain or Thunderbolt Slash if your party does not have any other lightning damage dealer. Of course, if you want to nuke the enemy at overdrive, you may still want to use Thunderbolt Slash because this has weak points. But overall, that skill will have a better chance of boosting the damage of your squad while keeping him better defensively. So he is better with inheritances, but still works as is. Sadly, I don't think Khalid's very impactful in the game. He's just a damage dealer that can give you attack boosts. But if you consider that Katarina can give you up to 80% at all times, and even more via her passives to reach 120%, what is Khalid doing if you are pulling on the same banner? You can increase it further, but I don't think that his damage is high enough or if his support is good enough. Khalid will receive a 3.5 out of 5 in my new grading system. And sadly, in my opinion, is still a very easy skip. The problem with Khalid is needing a very specific team. If they don't use lightning attacks, you're not using him on full potential, and it's not easy to make a full lightning squad. The next character is Mikhail, and he has 123% dexterity and 110% agility. That's all you need to know. He is a farmer and nothing else matters. Starts the fight with another 10 BP, so 20. He increases damage potential by 20% when landing weak attacks. Then he has a 40% damage increase versus weak attacks. Then he has 50% damage increase for 1 turn on the start of a round. So a total of 110% damage increase when attacking weak targets, or just 50% on start of round. Then on start of round, he also grants himself this fast stance for 1 turn, meaning that he will always attack fast, even if you use the Here Guard focus formation that increases 75% dexterity. When landing an attack that defeats a target, he will recover BP by 10. That means that he can keep using his best attacks. And those are 2 different ones. A Clad in UniverSe that he stole from Enya. It's a 5-hit Pierce and Sun attack with E power on each hit. And it has 13 BP cost. You can use it and you will recover 13 in that same turn, and you can use it again. So 5 hits will be enough to solo stages where there are just 1 enemy weak to either Pierce or Sun. Third skill, Justice Cross, is a full OE attack with Pierce and Sun damage that hits between 2 to 3 times with C power. Costs 14 BP, but if you kill targets, you're gonna recover 13, and you start with 20. That's not a problem at all. Pierce and Sun, right? Okay, so we need to discuss Mikhail place in the farming meta, because remember Mirlot Syra? That is such a powerful character for farming. Mirlot Syra has a skill, Chain Lightning, that has B power. It's not C, it's higher, but after the first hit you lose part of your power because of the self-attack down. The second hit does less, and the third or fourth will do even lower. But Mirlot Syra can hit as much as 4 times. We have lower damage here. We have as much as 75% versus 110, right? But 4 hits of Chain Lightning will be similar to 3 hits of Mikhail damage. And there's one interesting thing about both characters. If you record a run with 3 hits from Mikhail or a run with 4 hits from Mirlot Syra, you can theoretically run any neutral stage where there are multiple enemies. Single target stage, they won't work, but they will work versus many enemies. That means that they actually farm much more stages than you think. That's good, but if you have Mirlot Syra, why would you switch into Mikhail? There's nothing to gain besides the sun damage. Mirlot Syra is also just an AoE farmer, while Mikhail is also a single target one. It's more similar in design to Dantarg. Dantarg's latest style can also farm AoE with Pierce. big wheels. It is a little faster, I believe. And single target with Pierce, but heat. And he can also farm AoE with Blunt via Inheritance. But when compared to the entire, Mikhail is usually better because he can farm with the same double element, single target, and AoE. It's a little easier to use. But all in all, you don't need to use the first skill, it's useless, and he does not need Inheritance on, because none of the skills will matter anyway. So Mikhail is good, he's a top tier, 5 out of 5 for grind, but right now we don't even need a character for farming, because you can just keep farming with Hardy if you want, eventually get currency and purchase stamps to max your books. But if you still like the old method of farming and you get Mikhail, use him, but do not chase after him unless you are a new player and you miss it on all the other past farmers. For everyone else, well, he's just a bio skip and will receive, I don't know, 1 out of 5 for hard challenges. Zero utility on bossing. The last character is Monika, and we have here 115% dexterity and 110% agility. Those are the most important status besides Will that has 91, a safe value, and she doesn't have anything else really standing out besides a little bit higher love. She's a little fragile versus physical attacks because just 75% endurance, much like Katarina. Moving on, she starts the fight with a fast stance, meaning that all of her actions will become fast and will be used before anyone else. But this also has a big play into her own gameplay. I'll be back to this in a few. When she lands an attack, she chases always with Bloom Rain. Bloom Rain is actually a pretty strong attack. Double S power hits a column and will recover very small HP by around 300 and buff dexterity and charisma by 15% as a chase. So it has buff value and also heal value. By the end of a turn, she also gets 2 BP. And she also has a 50% chance to grant herself a new fast stance in the next turn via a passive. Then she also has a 50% chance to restore her usage of the skill number 2. More into that later. Now, when she attacks, she has 3 different effects that only last for that turn. She will grant all surviving allies an attack boost that increases damage potential by 10%. It stacks, but it only lasts for that turn. A defense boost that decreases damage taken by 10%, that can also stack but only lasts for this turn. And she will also decrease the BP cost of all skills for anyone else besides her by 1 point. But she always changes, right? That means that you actually have 2 stacks of everything. You will decrease the BP cost of everyone that goes after Monika by 2 points. You will then give them 2 stacks of defense boosts and 2 stacks of attack boost. That is on start of the fight, just by using any skill, okay? Then she still has 20% damage potential, reduces damage taken by 40% when resisting, and has a 37% chance to evade resisted attacks. Her damage is non-existent. You should forget Monika as a damage dealer. First skill is called Stab in the Back Plus, that attacks with C power and buffs dexterity by up to 30% on max level. It's okay because it costs just 1, but buffing dexterity doesn't really help Monika much. The second skill is a Moment of Fun. It's a support fast skill that will grant her an attack boost that increases her damage potential by 50%, lasts for 5 turns, can stack, and it also grants all surviving allies a BP cost reduction of 5 points just for that turn. The skill itself costs 5, she always has 5 available, but it does not give anything besides just the attack boost to herself. It benefits the other characters of your party. But that can be very interesting. Sometimes a character has like 5 EP generation and they want to use a skill that costs 10, that decreases it so that it was actually free to use that skill. And that's the skill that you can also recharge with 50% chance every turn. This is exclusive to Global and can actually make her a little more interesting for some situations. But since she has a chase and all of her skills from Princess Charm are based on attacking, well, actually you may want to keep attacking with Monika. And that has a way. Skill number 3, Galloping Charge. A single target pierce attack with only A power and 8 PP cost. So higher than what she generates by herself, that's just 5. Then, before attacking, If the user is on a fast stance, we'll grant the user Princess Charm for 3 turns. Okay, so first, fast stance. If you start the fight with fast stance, you're totally gonna start with Galloping Charge, because you're going to get Princess Charm double times. Nice, because now, right after she attacks, you have 4 times the effects. Yeah, 4 times attack boost, 4 times defense boost, and -4 BP cost reduction. For that turn only, but you have this effect for 3 turns, meaning that on the next turn, you can use, for example, Stab in the Back, and you will still apply all the effects if you are attacking before the other characters. Monika wants to be on the front line because she has intrinsic and can evade. It's not a problem, although she does have low endurance. But now, let's say that you are using Monika with other BP batteries. For example, people like Hardy. Hardy, he decreases indirect damage, but he generates a lot of BP. But other characters that I already mentioned, like Candy, like Esper, depending on the situations if the enemy is using spells, like Shirei, like even Katarina. Katarina allows your Monika to have 7 BP if she gets hit 2 times. So that's pretty close to what she needs, 8. So, if you are generating more BP, let's say that by the end of a turn, you manage to get another fast stance. In the second turn, you will want to use Galloping Charge again. Why? Because now you have another stack of Princess Charm that will last for another 3 turns. So, on the start of the second turn, you'll be on the second part of the first Princess Charm, and you will start another Princess Charm that lasts for 3 turns. So, up to turn 3, you have the effects from the first Princess Charm, and up to turn 4, you have the effects from the second. They will stack, meaning that on turn 2, when you attack, you actually have 6 times the effects of Princess Charms. In that situation, because you stacked 2 Galloping Charges. So, 6 defense boosts of -10%, 6 BP cost decrease, 6 attack boosts. Now you can see that Monika can actually help the party, right? If you consider the average RNG situation, you will open with Galloping Charge, and then you have just 50% chance to enter fast stance on a very long fight. Half of the time you'll be on fast. Save your BP to always use Galloping Charge when you are on fast. If you are not on fast, just use Stab in the Back, or if you really need to still decrease the BP cost of your other characters, use a Moment of Fun. If you have lots of BP batteries to help give Monika more BP, because she will keep using either a Moment of Fun or Galloping Charge, cycling between either triggering the reusage of the skill or reusing Galloping Charge. But using Moment of Fun do not give you the defense boost or even the attack boost. It's just the BP cost reduction, so she does not stay so reliable as a defense booster. So I believe the best way to use her is to still keep the Galloping Charge and a normal attack or a Stab in the Back. Okay, but what if you didn't get that first attack stance triggered by the end of turn 1? You can decide to start the second turn with a normal attack or a Stab in the Back, or you can inherit from her old style Linear Cross, because this is a fast skill that uses 5 BP. He always has 5, and since it's fast, it will guarantee that she will be buffing before the enemy or other characters from the party attack. Because if they are faster and don't get the BP cost reduction, it just doesn't have the same value. If you already use a Galloping Charge on turn 1, that's nice. You have 2 stacks of Princess Charm, so even using Linear Cross will allow you to have 4 triggers. But if you feel like Monika is fast enough, just use your normal attack or Stab in the Back. There are still other inheritances that can be interesting for her. For example, We have Dazzling Ballet from her global style. That is a fast skill with 10 BP cost. And she enters an evasive counter stance where she counters with Sword Ballet, that is a C-power AoE attack. But every time that she attacks via counter, she would trigger the effects as well. Of course, the defense boost may not be there in terracing, or the attack boost will benefit more Monika than anyone else, but if the enemy is fast and you get this to trigger, it can be in terracing anyway. And from her last bow style, she also has Arrow Bloom, that is fast, a 4S power attack that buffs dexterity, recover HP by around 1.4 thousand, and then launches an attack. It is a way to make her a better damage dealer, but you need lots of VP battery to keep Monika at float. So it's strange that she is a reverse BP battery that may still prefer to be used with other BP batteries. But there are fights in this game, like versus Kazinsi, versus some of the Divine Beasts, where you have a plus BP increase effect applied on your characters. So Monika will help, and sometimes you need 2 BP batteries anyway. So she needs extra to keep using Galloping Charge, but even if she doesn't have that, if she uses Galloping Charge at least once every 3 turns on a fast stance, you still have 4 times the effects of Princess Charm, and that's still very nice. Monika is a very good support because she uses S's words, and we don't have as many supports as for other weapon types. If you want to have a good style for future remembrance that will become even harder, she's a good pick. But still harder to use than any other BP battery, but if she is well used in the right setup, she can actually offer a lot. I'll give her a 4 out of 5 in my new grading system. Now back to this banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? Yes! I'll be giving this a gold award because Katarina is a beast. She is awesome, and she can open a slot in your party. Sometimes you slot Katarina in the place of 2 old styles, and that is reason enough to pull here. But Monika is still a very nice support that uses a different weapon that requires better support anyway. Khalid is an okay damage dealer, will not stay so relevant, but if you are planning to pull for the next Kihachi, they work super well together. And Mikhail is still a prime time farmer that, while we may not need farmers on the current game, he is still one of the best of its kind. With all that said, but if you don't have gens, right now they are sending us a lot of free gens via celebrations and all. You can wait to decide, but even then, I believe that this is a good banner to pull considering everything. I pull it on the banner, and I got Katarina, and will still pity Monika because it was close. But what about you? Did you pull? Say here in the comment section your opinions. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, use the links on the description. Hope to see you soon on the next one.